Let's break this bitch down. Act 1. Let's set some stuff up.
As our first, eventually will be our first After Dark episode.
Yeah.
Dying of light after
nice.
dark.
Yeah, it actually works pretty well. As the light goes down, we film it.
We're watching the light go away back there.
Our steaming pile starts with hero Evan Lake. Sorry, I'll do that. Our steaming pile starts with our hero Evan Lake being beaten with a cricket bat by a guy named Mohammed Banir. He repeats to his torturer in a kind of bored, drunken slur that his name is Charles Bukowski, a German writer and poet. Charles Rachowski, a representative for Spirit Systems.
My name is Charles Wachowski, a representative for Spirit Systems.
Mike Wazowski?
That couldn't have been an accident. Definitely think he gave him Charles Bukowski as his character name, but it's Rachowski. But the way he says it sounds like Bukowski because he's doing that. My name is Charles Bukowski. Just so bored in that opening scene, it just hooks you in. That's
Banir wants the name of a double agent or something vague, but Evan refuses to give it to him because his kink is to pretend he's a cricket ball. Some good character quirk.
It's pretty hot.
We then cut to 22 years in the future at a CIA training facility in Virginia, which seems to be refrigerated for some reason.
Do you notice that? You can see their
his
breath the whole time.
Yeah, they filmed it in a walk-in fridge. We see Evan's hand shaking like he's in bad need of a drink, or maybe he's cold.
Maybe he's cold.
Just shaking. As he's introduced to a group of new cadets as a former deputy station chief in Beirut, chief of Station Kabul, holder of the Donovan Award, the Distinguished Intelligence Medal, the only living recipient of the Intelligence Star, and Mother of Dragons, Evan Lake. Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons.
It's a long list of stuff they list off there.
Yeah.
I guess,
you know, it's Purple Heart in there, though. Which is a bit of a...
He did. No. He would have gotten a Purple Heart for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. They should have said that.
But I think this is all to set up, like, this guy is super distinguished, but then everybody kind of treats him like he's old and over the hill and needs to just freaking retire already.
Maybe he didn't get a Purple Heart because he wasn't serving as a member of the military.
Yeah.
CIA.
Serving as a CIA
different
operative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he have a military background?
Yeah. I believe at some point they say he served in the Marines prior to joining.
Yeah, for like 6 years and then 27 years in the CIA or something like that.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality where Walter had a good career in the military and went on to join the CIA.
The system promoted me to the CIA.
He does talk a lot like Walter. He does. Especially in this scene.
Yes. In that monologue, opening monologue.
Mm-hmm. We should say that's Walter from Grand Isle, one of the other Nic Cage movies. Yeah. In case you didn't watch that episode.
Probably didn't.
No, don't blame you. Next, we see one of the worst delivered monologues of Nicolas Cage's career as he asks these new recruits,
"What the hell are you doing here?"
And then drops some Humpty Dumpty on their asses. He goes on to say the CIA just sits around backstabbing the president, watching porn, tapping phones, and the best of them quit or retired. So what in the name of Jesus Christ nailed to the cross are you doing here? No, you, the audience. What the hell are you doing here watching this movie? Don't you know there's an entire world of other experiences you could be having right now instead of watching Dying of the Light?
No, you're watching us talk about
but Evan Lake is talking to you, the viewer of the movie. What the hell are you doing here?
And then Nigel's talking to you, the viewer of the podcast, of us, the viewer of the movie.
Which is even worse.
It's Inception.
Actually, arguably better than watching Dying of the Light.
I feel like we somewhat made it better.
The cadets, who are mostly made up of Eastern Europeans for some reason, look at each other dumbfounded since they probably need a Romanian translator. We mentioned most of this was shot in Romania.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it was just freezing.
It's a winter
It's the
time.
best they could do. The set wasn't heated.
If you watch, it's mostly Eastern Europeans in the back, and then they put one Hispanic guy up front on one side, and then there's a couple African American guys and a woman or two.
We got to diversify.
Evan answers himself and says that they must be here because they heard the call of duty. That's going to make an Activision joke, but that's dumb. Most of these people look to be pretty young, so they probably learned about the CIA from Call of Duty, the game. So I guess they're kind of right. Then he says they must be there in a line read only Nicolas Cage can deliver.
Because you have values.
This opening monologue is supposed to set up our whole this is the whole hook of the film to the point where they repeat it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's the bookend for the entire movie.
And
I think right after this it's slammed to a slam cut to the title screen as soon as it so
and at the end I think he adds a couple extra things onto the speech. We don't cut away to the credits quite as fast as we do with the values thing. But man,
values.
It's just such a bad, and they even mention it in the script of I heard you caused quite a stir on that amazing speech that you gave earlier. Yeah.
Didn't they say he's done this speech every year? He does it for every class or something. So maybe he's just.
I think since he said he started writing a desk 6 years earlier, so I think he's been doing this for 6 years.
Yeah,
and he's obviously tired of it and wants to go back to the field.
Outside, Evan asks the guy who introduced him on stage if he thinks that they believed a word of his rousing, weird, awkwardly delivered speech. And the guy tells him he's retiring, but he'll eventually come back to see if Evan asks the next batch of recruits why the fuck they bothered signing up. Evan heads down the freeway while having acid flashbacks of his cricket game with Bannier. And this was the first of many scenes where I realized that Nic Cage should have been cast as Mr. Rogers in that biopic instead of Tom Hanks. He just looked like Mr. Rogers to me in a lot of shots in this movie. And I think it's the gray wig that he's got, or maybe that's his real hair. I don't know. Maybe that's what his hair should naturally look like as a 60-year-old man. But I'm not used to seeing Nicolas Cage with gray hair. I think that's what it is. And he just...
There's only a couple. There's this one and that Army of One, I think, is the movie where he's totally gray with a gray beard.
But there's a part, I think later on in the movie, he's wearing a blazer and it just reminded me of Mr. Rogers. He's wearing a suit jacket that just looked like it. Anyway. Maybe it'll make sense with the screenshots that you'll put in here that kind of looks like Mr. Rogers.
I would pay good money to see his Mr. Rogers impression.
I think you would have done fine.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
In the flashback, we see Bannier cut a big chunk out of Evan's ear before an explosion knocks he and all the bad guys to the ground. But don't worry, the bad prosthetic they use for Evan's mutilated ear will definitely not become distractingly annoying throughout the entire rest of the movie. Some soldiers storm in and presumably rescue our hero, but we cut back to the present where Evan is startled out of his jaunt down memory lane by the sound of a honking car horn. Since he's on the freeway driving a car. It's always something with these jackasses in traffic. It's either the Beirut flashbacks or the phones of these damn people. Just pay attention. We're all in this together.
Do you think it would have stayed that way, his ear? It cut the cartilage. He used the.
It's just he just snipped the cartilage, but it made his ears jut out.
Yeah, that's because they had to put that prosthetic over the top of his actual ear.
Right.
So his ear is 3 times the size it should be.
They could have stitched it back, and made it look decent. My dad had part of his ear removed because of melanoma, and it looks like a normal ear. They just cut part of it off and sort of rounded it a little bit. They could have done some better stuff with it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But
or maybe
the
just had
prosthetic he wears later looks like it's Nic Cage's ear.
Yep. It's weird. It's weird.
I actually wanted to show a mutilated ear, but there's a reason why you don't do that very often in movies. I think it's maybe easier to just put a scar down his face or something.
It's just purposes. A constant reminder of this person that he has a revenge boner for the entire freaking film. It's like a 30-second scene at the beginning of the movie, and this is the person we got to concentrate on for the whole freaking 94 minutes or whatever of this movie. It's already off to a bad start.
Over at the CIA headquarters, Evan asks the CIA director if he can help him get back to active duty and stop riding a desk. He suggests Evan take an early retirement since he'll make $110,000 a year pension based on his 36 years of government duty. But Evan scoffs at the idea and seems heartbroken at the idea of walking away from the agency. Next, we're introduced to Anton Yelchin's character Milton, who talks like he has gravel in his throat throughout the entire film. I've noticed a couple of movies where he kind of just talks like that. I don't know if that's what he sounded like more often than not, or if he just liked to put that tough man thing on. I
don't feel like anybody actually sounds that way.
Unless
you're Paul Schrader. I mean, Paul Schrader kind of sounds that way, I guess. Maybe Milton is Paul Schrader writing himself into the story. I just want to kill some people. I don't want to be at this desk anymore.
Milton pops into Evan's office to ask if he's seen his stapler anywhere. All right, it's a wrong office movie. He notices Evan's hand shaking from the hallway and asks Evan how it went with the director. He says he's got to go see what he can do, but he knows that it won't do any good since he met with the director of this film and got a similar response when he asked if they'd get final cut.
Oh, man. Meta.
Then Evan asks Milt to put a dictionary on his hands since there are two kinds of people in this world, men of action and everyone else. What the fuck that has to do with being able to hold a dictionary steady on his hand is anyone's guess. Milt smirks and walks out like Evan just told him the secret to life. Men of action and everyone else. Okay.
I guess because I can steady myself, like even when I'm nervous, I'm able to like
we saw
right
his hand
myself.
Shaking early, so he's trying to show that he's
I still got it. I can get myself to that point, which he definitely can't because when he meets with Paneer later on, he just basically mumbles and shits his pants and walks out.
Over in Bucharest, Romania, a couple of cops are tailing a guy who has a USB on him full of secret information of some nondescript nature. These geniuses are spotted by the guy immediately, which leads to a pulse-pounding car chase that wouldn't be out of place in a movie called The Bourne Mediocrity. In their rental sedans, they make it all the way from the parking lot to a bridge like a quarter mile away. Rather than be caught with the USB, the bad guy opts to jump off a bridge and kill himself, but not before throwing the USB somewhere apparently super easy to find. Next, we see a Romanian intelligence officer of some sort recovering the information from the USB drive on a computer, which has all the file names in Romanian, but all the windows in English for some reason. He uploads the contents of the drive to a database that alerts the NSA since Milton put in a watch order for a certain chemical compound called decitabine. I can't remember how to say it.
Yeah, it's like decitabine, I think.
Decitabine?
Yeah.
So they uploaded every single piece of text that was in this thing to a... How exactly would they... They just scan all the documents? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they put it in a zip folder and uploaded it to the cloud.
Yeah, they just put it out there, I guess, and then that triggered the NSA, right?
Yeah,
because
they're
watching everything around the world at all times.
Yeah.
So,
it's just such a oddly specific thing. Which, by the way, I looked it up, and decitabine is like really common in like chemotherapy and stuff. It's like a really, really common drug. But I guess it's the combo of different drugs with decitabine.
Yeah,
so.
That's about it.
Yes. Then why not go for a more rare drug instead of one of the most common drugs in chemotherapy?
I mean, it's not like crazy common, and the thalassemia that Paneer has is actually pretty rare. I think it's like 200,000 people on the planet have it. So, and the treatment was supposed to be experimental. So I guess decitabine with these other.
Could be,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We see Evan having flashbacks while driving again. Damn it, people. When you get behind the wheel of a car, it's no longer just your safety that's at stake. That's why they should have mandatory driver's tests once you hit a certain age. In flashback, we see Evan in the past arguing with some dude about Bannier, the guy who Vincent Van Gogh to Evan's eating.
Oh, man.
He swears that Bannier is alive since the body he saw at the scene didn't have a head, so it must not have been him since he had a head. Can't possibly have just been a headless guy who got his head blown off in the explosion, but we obviously saw that Bannier had a head in the opening scene, so that couldn't have been Bannier.
You don't understand. He had a head, and this body didn't have no head.
This one didn't have a head, so obviously...
Head? No head.
I guess he's trying to go with you can't prove that it was him because he had no head.
Oh,
like they don't have
blood,
DNA testing or
DNA,
anything like that. Fingerprints.
22 years earlier from 2014 would have been 1992.
Everyone else contends that he died in the explosion, and Evan is told to drop the matter of Bannier since he's probably an operative of some government organization now. Just a theory.
That's one of my big Coppola questions is like, is it because I don't know. They kind of answer it later on that no, he wasn't. But
he wasn't.
It seems like
useless.
The CIA is like purposely trying to stop him from finding this person. So
I think it's more about, since they talk about he's been in hiding, like he hasn't done anything for 20 years. Like the CIA doesn't give a fuck about this guy.
Well, even in this scene though, they're like, drop it. This matter is over.
Died.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. They kind of.
There could have been maybe that was in a different earlier version of the movie. Yeah. That they cut out because it would.
They forgot about it when they recut the movie.
Next, a poignant scene kicks off with Evan loudly saying "fuck" as a doctor tells him he has a form of terminal dementia called frontal temporal dementia, or FTD, which will kill him in a few years. Isn't that a flower delivery service? Or courier
FTD,
service?
Flowers
FTD? The doctor asks if he has any family, to which he says his work is his family, which is super depressing.
Yeah.
So from here on out, the movie is just a story of a boring guy being forced into retirement who's sad about it since he never made any friends or had a family because he was too busy being married to his job. And we're all forced to watch him relive his glory days in one last-ditch effort to do something he considers meaningful but is ultimately pointless. Just so you know.
Should just put that on the back of the DVD.
Yeah.
A film by Paul Schrader.
The doctor tells him his condition comes with some cool things Nicolas Cage can incorporate into his boring as hell character to make him even remotely interesting. Like overreactions, inappropriate reactions, blank spells, mood swings, and an unreliable sensory perception. Based on how many Nic Cage characters behave across all these movies, can we be sure that Nic Cage himself doesn't have FTD? Oh my God. That first thought. He'll be prone to inappropriate reactions and overreactions. Oh, he's got a career on that. Anyway, the doctor sends him
through to you.
Yeah, I just thought, how to get burned. The script just said, how did it get burned? I don't know.
And he just ran with it.
Anyway, the doctor sends him to a support group in Philadelphia, but Evan bails since therapy's for losers and he heads home. They really did go nowhere. He also refuses to take antidepressants, which will help his condition since those are drugs for crazy people. Next, we see this totally sane guy bust out his pistol and then down some whiskey. Then he flips a framed picture of Bill Clinton so Slick really doesn't see what's about to go down. Yeah, I saw that too. Like, what? He gets a call from Milt that he ignores since he's presumably about to splatter his head all over his nicely framed American flag on the wall. I guess Evan chickened out at the last minute and decided to go to the one place that can cheer up anyone battling terminal dementia, Ruby Tuesdays. Nothing fessed me up quite like their all-you-can-eat endless garden bar and a colossal burger. Milton arrives and asks a waitress to get Evan something to eat, which is pretty vague. I mean, why not just order something off their famous 2 for $22 entree menu and make a night of it? Please, if it gets sponsored by Ruby Tuesdays, it'd be great. Also, it's weird because he sits down and he's like, "Hey, could you?" And he has like a half-drank glass of whiskey on the table, and then the waitress is like, "Can I take that for you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then she gets rid of it. Like, no server's gonna come.
Hands it and just.
Yeah, but she asks, "Can I take that first?" And then he hands it over. Like, a server's not going to see a half-drank glass and ask if they could just get rid of it unless it's ice or something. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Also, he just shouts,
"Get this man something to eat, please."
Yeah. Just nondescript.
Yeah. The server's going to, "Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure.
I'll just get him something to eat and put that in the kitchen."
With a ton of fucking spit.
She just delivers like the whole menu. Just try some stuff.
Milt tells Evan that the NSA traced decitabine back to some medical charts on the USB stick, which contained only these charts, some Muslim scriptures, porn, and Angry Birds. No wonder that guy jumped off a bridge. Hey, did you guys know that when they seized Osama bin Laden's computer, they found a bunch of porn, anime, and video games on it?
Yeah,
I did.
Some good stuff.
Fun fact. Apparently, decitabine links back to Banir because when combined with some other drugs, they help treat thalassemia, which is apparently only Banir could possibly have since his father died of it. But like I said earlier, thalassemia is super rare. It's only like 200,000 people on the planet have it or something.
Yeah, that really narrows it down. 200,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they cross-checked other things like, is this registered to an actual person and not just random drugs going somewhere to an unregistered location?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we get into here in this next couple scenes.
Also, the guy who jumped off the bridge was getting it for someone else and was getting it from a doctor in Romania and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, all this unintelligible nonsense convinces Evan that Banir is still alive since thalassemia is an extremely rare disease that affects only about 60,000 people worldwide every year because of Kenya and Romania and all that. It doesn't make any damn sense just watching the film one line at a time in excruciating detail. How the Jesus Christ nailed to a cross is someone supposed to get all this in one viewing? Just know they tracked the guy down through the medicine, I guess.
It's so confusing.
Really,
even
aggravated as well, just watching it.
Especially in that scene where the jumps in logic, where it's just like,
it's like
okay.
It's like in National Treasure when he makes all those leaps of logic with the pipe to come to. It's in the Declaration of Independence.
See,
except that made a little more sense than this.
That one actually made sense if you think about it. And
just watching two CIA agents list off a bunch of medical jargon and use that to figure out where a guy is living. Evan gets a raging revenge boner when he realizes the disease will force Banir out of hiding. Then he says,
Banir's got it. It's come out. It's in his blood.
While leering at Milton in a supremely creepy way that I have to imagine makes Milton so freaked out that he just leaves this deranged has-been alone to enjoy his well drinks in a family chain restaurant booth in peace.
Who goes to Ruby Tuesdays to drink themselves into a stupor?
Yeah, it was a perfectly good chair in his apartment or his house that he could pass out in. And he goes to the passing out booth at Ruby Tuesdays.
But that's what Walter would do. He'd go home and do it.
Yeah,
in his attic.
That's where it links back.
In his attic,
yeah. I don't know. It was just that was a super creepy way to deliver that line. And sort of half sneer at the camera or off camera. It's weird. It's in the blood.
It was really weird, man. One of the weirder line reads I think that we've seen so far on this show.
Mm-hmm. Over in Kenya, we cut to an empty room because how the fuck would this guy have actually disappeared for 22 years without a trace, only to be discovered by Pavel Chekhov and a CIA agent with dementia, thanks to a medical chart with two common ingredients used in treating cancer on a USB stick full of porn and Angry Birds. Well, it turns out Banir is alive, and he's not living well in Mombasa, Kenya, with his live-in henchmen / nurses who take care of his every need since he's barely strong enough to get out of a chair, but still maintains some sort of criminal empire, even though a stiff breeze could blow him over. Hey, did you guys know that it was widely believed that Osama bin Laden was suffering from kidney disease while he was in hiding? Although that was likely proved false, or that was likely false.
Maybe that's where the idea for this came from.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Multiple times. That's where it feels like he just ripped it straight off of Osama bin Laden. Evan meets with the director again and tell him he believes Mohammed Banir is alive because of all that nonsense with drugs and thalassemia, Romania, Kenya, and all that stuff. Honestly, it's hard to keep all this shit straight. But the director denies Evan's request to extract Banir and have him brought to the U.S. for trial and to just let the guy die since he has a terminal disease anyway. Banir, not Evan. I know, it's confusing. Evan then drops some exposition as to why Banir is such a bad guy. I guess he kidnapped 17 people and executed a dozen and bombed a tourist bus, except he says tourist really weird.
A dozen executions and the bombing of a tourist bus, some of whom were children, by the way.
to go free simply because he's sick.
It's almost like reminded me of George W. Bush saying terrorist. Bomb a tourist bus.
Tourist.
Rather than agree with Evan that they should go after a phantom who's more likely to have been dead for 22 years, he calls a doctor into the office and they confront him about his dementia, which they all know about since, they're the CIA.
I really feel like that was what they were trying to set up, was like, obviously this dude is crazy. And I think we're supposed to wonder, like, is he crazy too? But then they like cut to Banir being alive, and it's like,
yeah, I don't think we're supposed to wonder because it shows us that it's all true.
Like, if I was recutting the film, I would cut out Banir until he actually got close enough to where we're like, oh, he is real. He's still alive.
Plus, then they could reveal that he's just a crippled, not old man. He's like a 32-year-old actor, but he's just a crippled man, just like this old man dying of dementia is. So,
yeah. I think it would have been a better setup if we were kind of contemplating the whole time in a kind of Fight Club reveal, of like, is he actually crazy this entire time, or is Banir real?
Yeah.
Is this all his dementia or what? Because, he's been kind of going after this for like 3 years. That was when he gave Milton the order to put in that decitabine or whatever into the database. Yeah. So maybe his dementia has been coming on for years. And I don't know. I think that's a better film, in my personal opinion.
They tell him that they'll treat him for his condition, but of course he can no longer work for the government since he can literally no longer think straight. So they tell him he's being forced into early retirement. All he cares about at this moment is chasing down this fucking Banir guy that no one else, including the audience, gives a shit about at this point. They try to tell him his coworkers think he's nuts, and he confirms it by saying,
Banir, damn it.
In a completely unhinged, insane way through his gritted teeth that's almost indescribable. That's how fucking weird it is.
Banir, damn it.
That's right.
Fucking weird, man.
I wonder why they're so skeeved off about this guy continuing to work for him. Then he screams at the director of the CIA and a doctor who has the ability to say whether he keeps his job or not about how he fucked up Iran-Contra, 9/11, WMDs, Afghanistan, Iraq, Benghazi, and he has his head so far up Obama's ass, all he can see is shit. So yeah, it makes a strong case for staying on the job. I could just see Schrader like writing that, like, you fucking fucking CIA sucks.
Fucking awful bombasters.
We then see him back in his office when 2 security guards come in and tell him to turn in his badge. He's then shot immediately by them after he lunges like a madman into his desk, reaching for what the armed guards assume is a gun. Oh wait, no, he just grabs a bunch of junk from his drawer and hurls it at them, screaming while they just stand there. That's what I really thought. Like, he really just opens the desk and like reaches in and grabs something. He's like, "Hey, you want my badge?" And like, they should have just immediately drawn on him because he was going to shoot him. He's then escorted out of the building while announcing his resignation, the same way Michael Scott declares bankruptcy. And by that, I mean he shouts, "I resign!" in an indescribably bizarre tone loudly in front of all of his now former coworkers.
That one is also so weird, dude. I resign! He makes a lot of really bizarre choices in this film. And I watched the behind the scenes of Paul Schrader was like, once Nic Cage figured out that these are the symptoms of this frontal whatever dementia, he just went off and ran with it and started incorporating it into his line reads and stuff. And I'm like,
I figured that was the case.
Works, but doesn't at the same time.
It's
just confusing.
Yeah.
I almost felt like they added that line in the edit of the doctor saying, like, you're prone to irrational outbursts and stuff because maybe Nicolas Cage was giving such a weird fucking performance that they had to put that in as an explanation for it.
That was one of the reshoots.
Act 2. Let's get some motivation up in this thing.
Milton drops in on Evan at home where they enjoy some sake, and Evan says, "I messed up pretty bad today, huh?" "Gee, do you think so?" I wish you would have gone back to work the next day like nothing happened, like George Costanza.
Pretend like he forgot that he got fired.
You could have just blamed the dementia.
Yeah.
I resign. Anyways, even after all that, he still won't shut up about this goddamn Banir guy. He just lost his job. All he cares about is this Benear dude, who nobody has seen for 22 years. No sign of him whatsoever.
He's got a hate Benear for him instead of a hate boner.
Hate Benear.
Trademark 1 Cage at a time. Putting that on a shirt. Milton placates this madman and tells him he found a doctor's name on the USB, and this doctor has been prescribing a mystery patient the previously mentioned cocktail of drugs for 2 years. Evan stares off into space like his brain is buffering, but Milton still continues to encourage him to chase this ghost. They look at some files, and desk jockey Milton says,
You know what? This is cool.
This is cool. Honestly, it just seems like he's using this guy's dementia to go on a fun little adventure because he's sick of being cooped up in the office all day.
Yeah.
Like later on, we find out that he was an operative in Egypt or Cairo. Or Cairo is in Egypt. Yeah. Cairo, that's in Egypt.
That's in Egypt. Egyptians.
But,
thread account. Sheets. Sheets of money. They're trying to steal money.
Over in Kenya, Benear orders a guy to fly to Bucharest to find the doctor who has his meds since his middleman jumped off a bridge. He says he wants him to bring the doctor back to Kenya or he'll have the doctor's wife's family killed since they're Kenyan. Like he couldn't have killed the family in Romania.
In Romania.
Whatever. Because I guess that's the connection between Benear and this doctor in Romania is his wife.
They found a doctor who's got a Kenyan wife somewhere in the world so that they could strong arm him.
I don't know. Couldn't we just made the doctor live in Kenya or something? Like, do we have to have multiple locations? I guess it was just so Nic Cage could pretend to be Romanian. And
right.
Yeah.
He's got to practice that Romanian accent for Dracula.
Back at Evans, they make a plan to go find the doctor in Romania who can lead them back to Benear. And Evan explains that the reason no one has seen or heard from Benear in 20 years is because he thought Evan had a double agent in his gang, and that's why he was beating him with a cricket bat. After Evan was extracted, he sent out some intelligence to the highest levels that Benear himself was a double agent. So I guess that explains it. This movie makes about as much sense.
Was he sending that to Benear's higher ups or like to the American intelligence that Benear was a double agent?
Just intelligence across the world.
The same cloud that other info got uploaded to.
This movie makes about as much sense as sinking your life savings into an NFT.
Hey, I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Vince.
It's a smart investment.
Nobody else could put their name on Goatsy from here on out. Evan goes on to say that guys like him don't die because he's a true believer. What is he, fucking Stan Lee?
Excelsior!
Milton creepily smirks at Evan and says,
You've been giving this a lot of thought, haven't you?
he's supposed to come across as a guy who looks up to Evan, even though everyone else thinks he's crazy and over the hill, but gives off some real Elijah Wood meets Damien from The Omen vibes throughout this whole movie. He's just spooky throughout the movie.
Ooh, spooky.
Creepy weirdo, dude. I'm scareder of him than I am of Benear throughout this movie.
Yeah, me too. I thought there was going to be a twist where Milton turns out to be some fucking serial killer.
Yes.
When Milton sliced that guy's throat, I thought for sure he was like a double agent and was working for Benear the entire time or something. I don't know.
No, he's just a mass murderer. He's just a mass murderer.
Nic Cage laughs like a crazy person when he says he thinks about killing this Benear guy all day long, every day. Just find a hobby or something.
Our hero, everybody. Just supposed to sympathize with him.
Then the doorbell rings and he tells the guy who is a guest in his house not to answer it.
Yeah, what the hell?
What the fuck was that about?
Yeah,
why would he answer the door? Why was that even in the script?
Nobody thought that was a weird line.
Is that part of the dementia? It's just like,
Yeah.
All you gotta do is just be like,
I'm gonna go get it. Like, why would he answer his door?
yeah. I thought it was supposed to be like, no, they could think I'm not home, but then he goes and gets the door.
Then he just goes and answers the door. Yeah.
He forgot that he was going to hide from them.
Halfway between the door and yeah. Evan then gets right up and answers the door. What in the fuck is going on in this movie? The doctor we met when Evan flipped out in front of the entire CIA tells him that he doesn't want to leave things the way that they did and that he wants to help him. Evan slams the door in the doctor's face after agreeing to get treatment, but he does just like slam the door right into the dude's face. And then Milton puts 2 and 2 together that Evan is hiding something from him, so he reluctantly lets him know that he's battling dementia. Actually, he says his brain is rotting. He's known for over a year, and then he yells at Milton like a nutcase about the CIA asking about him. Were they asking about me? None of this stops Milton from helping Evan pursue this revenge mission on a guy no one has seen or heard from in over 20 years since Evan said he was a double agent or some bullshit because he sent it up to the intelligence. Oh, good Lord, this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of this can we blame the recut? It just
I feel like
makes
the recut
no sense.
made it better. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Like, to be honest,
we'll see. So the recut is only 71 minutes. So there's a full 23 minutes less in that cut than there is in this. But to be fair, Paul Schrader was just pulling off of dailies that he had on a DVD. So
yeah,
maybe he didn't have everything.
Yeah, that's probably it. I meant what I meant was this movie is better than the recut, is what I think is going to happen.
I kind of feel like that might happen too.
I feel like there's a reason why the studio panicked and did what they did once they saw what they had. Yeah.
Like, we made it almost make some sense. Just put it out direct to video. Nic Cage is in it. We'll make our $5 back.
Some guys will do a podcast about it eventually.
We're the only ones. No one else.
We're definitely the only people on Earth who have talked about this movie this much.
That's not true. Schrader did.
That's true, I guess.
That's true.
People who weren't involved in the filming of the movie.
Touche.
I wonder if Nic Cage has just forgotten that he did this movie completely. It's like,
I was in what?
He got his million.
Oh yeah, that's how I met Anton Yelchin.
We see on a crystal skull.
No one else on the set got paid. Everybody else got catering. That's what they got. And then we lambasted the film that we made in public. I mean, so them doing what they did was like silent protest, but do you think that he had to maybe pay back what he got paid for the movie after doing that? Because that was technically breaking that contract.
I don't think it was, because he didn't say anything bad about it.
They didn't specifically say it.
It said no content.
Yeah.
And I think they wore the shirt intentionally to say, like, look, I'm not saying anything bad about the movie. I'm just wearing the shirt and saying no comment.
Can you really demand back money for personal interpretation of him wearing a shirt?
We see Evan on the freeway again, completely zoned out again. But before he can orphan some children, he's pulled over by a cop who says he's unfit to drive since the CIA doctor reported to the authorities that he has dementia. Thank fucking God.
Yeah. Get that
thank you, doctor with a nondescript accent. You're doing the Lord's work. What was that accent, do you think? Like Sri Lanka?
It's supposed to be Indian.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Indian.
Or Pakistani.
Yeah.
Really? Milton picks him up at the police station, and instead of talking about the fact that he just lost his ability to drive forever, he goes back to talking about veneer. Just fuck the guy already and get it over with.
Last night I dreamt he was in a white thong.
He was in my bed. I don't know how to feel about it. But I did know how to feel about it. I felt about it. That's what I'm saying. He and Milton theorized that the Kenyan guy who jumped off the bridge killed himself because he was afraid he'd give up some sort of scary information that basically never comes back again. I guess they're trying to say that it's the location of veneer is the scary information that he killed himself for.
If he gives it up, maybe they'll kill his whole family or something. Maybe that's what it was supposed to be like.
They'll expose his nasty porn addiction.
They'll expose the fact that he plays Angry Birds. And his friends will all want nothing to do with
just
him.
Just release my porn history.
So he chucks that USB into the river, I guess, is what it's supposed to be. And they said that it got wet and that some of the files were corrupted and stuff, and what they could pull was what led the Pavel Chekhov to to find that stuff. But like, how would they have found that USB? How did they even see him throw the USB?
Yeah, I don't know. I also like that he jumps off and they immediately are like, call the divers.
Yeah.
Like assuming he just died. Instead of, probably would have landed in the water, maybe broke some bones, could have survived.
So they show him later on, right? They show his face and it was like smashed. So I think he landed on pavement. He jumped off and landed on the ground. Maybe that's what happened, was he thought he threw it into the river, but he was actually just over a walking path.
There's a walking path down there.
It landed in some snow or something.
Womp womp.
Milton tells him that the money this Kenyan guy was supposed to give to the doctor in exchange for the miracle drugs for veneer showed up in the dead guy's account. So Evan decides he needs to hop a plane and head to Bucharest.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the Kenyan guy who jumped off the bridge, the money showed up in his account to give to the doctor in Romania.
Yeah, 10,000 euros or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Just, it's, I
I
watched
forgot
the
we
movie.
We didn't talk about in the preceding scene, which I don't know if we'll be able to put it into this, but when he's his little "there's a window" speech.
Oh God,
about stuff, and there's like the American flag behind him, framed in the shot with a hole blown through the middle of it because it's subtle symbolism.
I want to know what the story is behind that flag. Like, was that some other mission, or was that everything has to revolve around this veneer dude? Did that happen?
Probably, maybe
during that
something.
36-year career.
You get it? You get it? He's talking about the downfall of the United States or whatever. With like, as if I was like, why is he framed so weird? Because he was like this, like he's up against the side, but then like right behind him is just out of focus American flag with a hole blown in it.
Yeah. Some fun music starts.
Did my cat end up in your place?
Nigel, what's your cat doing here?
Jesus.
All right, I'm going to leave that down.
That's a microcosm of this film and this episode.
The display couldn't fucking take it anymore. It too threw itself off a bridge onto cement.
Yeah. Drove into a truck.
Spoilers.
Okay. Some fun music starts to play that absolutely doesn't match the mood of the film in any way up to this point. And the two of them have a fun, we're good buddies since we're in this murder a bad guy who probably doesn't exist. And even if he does, he'll be dead soon thing. Kind of in a jaunty that's sort of a jaunty exchange there. It's the only time that it has that mood.
What if I say no?
No what?
No, you can't come.
Well then, Mr. Secret Agent Man, I might have to drop a dime on you.
You know, I half believe you would.
It's so weird. That's the thing with this movie is like, it's just like the mood changes constantly, and it's, you know, it's mostly dour and depressing, but then suddenly there's this just out of nowhere.
It's a delightful globe-trotting scene. Right?
They have a good chuckle after Milton forces his way into taking a guy with dementia to the other side of the planet in order to kill a guy. And next thing you know, they're in Romania. So that's we've now left the country for the first time to a actual country, because we left to go to the Arctic Circle, which could have been in Greenland, Norway, Northwest Territories, Alaska,
the North Pole.
The North Pole. Who the hell knows? But this one, we actually have concrete Romania. Also in Bucharest with them, we see the guy Benir sent to track down the doctor, who is given a car and a gun by some dude while he mean mugs like an idiot the entire scene. That's it. Evan and Milton meet up with an old flame of Evan's who might have been an agent and was a reporter or something. Who knows or cares at this point? Really gives a shit.
Intelligence agent turned reporter.
Or reporter turned intelligence agent. She was like a reporter first, and I don't know. Or she was a cop. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Evan lights up a cigarette, and a bartender yells at him for smoking in the non-smoking section, and Evan freaks the fuck out because he's in Romania, and the whole country is a smoking section, which feels like a bit of a dig on Romania. He puts a cigarette out in his...
it's supposed to imply that Evan hasn't been to Romania for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So he's basing his knowledge on back when it was like you could smoke everywhere.
Yeah. Back before they cleaned it up. He puts the cigarette out in his water and screams,
I'm putting it out. Jesus!
Milton has flown a man with terminal dementia to Romania to help him catch or kill a guy no one has seen in 22 years. Just so we're clear, again, he dismisses his insanity to being jet-lagged. And Michelle kind of acts like this is how he's always been since she's known him. I'm putting it out. Jesus. They make a plan to confront the doctor. I'm not going to repeat what the Kenyan was going to pay the doctor. The fuck knows. Mm-hmm. Then she and Evan make bedroom eyes at each other for a minute, and Michelle asks how Milton and Evan know each other. I would make a joke, but I can't. Milton says he was a covert op in Cairo where he lost the son of a cabinet minister. Seems like a bit of a major fuck up. Evan cleared up the whole situation.
Now we know why he's riding the desk.
Yeah. I mean,
at 20 years old or however old he's supposed to be.
Yeah. How? Because so Anton Yelchin died at 27, and I think it wasn't
like that. It was like
super long after this.
17, I think, is when he passed away.
So then he would have been 24
years after they filmed this. Yeah, so he's already working a desk job in his mid-20s, probably because he did his first assignment. He fucked up and got some
lost the
cabinet
son of a
member's kid
cabinet
killed.
minister.
He probably killed him.
He probably did. He slit his throat. Anyways, Evan cleared up the whole situation by reminding the CIA to take care of their own. The script is just so clunky and convoluted that it's a wonder this thing makes any sense at all. It's just, why would they work together in the same office if he used to be an operative in Cairo?
Yeah.
This is the retirement home of ex-operatives.
Yeah.
They go to this one particular office.
It's where they shelve all the fuck ups and put them on boring tasks nobody else wants to do.
Yeah. Why did we need any of that information, by the way? to explain why Milton is suddenly good at slicing guys' throats open here in like a few minutes. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what it is. It's like to explain that Milton used to have
had field work.
He had some field experience, so
yeah.
That explains why he's good at chasing this guy down. All right, we'll get to it. Michelle asks about a bullet Evan keeps on his keychain from when he was extracted during the whole Benear cricket bat thing. That bullet was definitely friendly fire, by the way. The bad guys were caught off guard by the explosion, and they were all knocked to the ground. He was 100% shot by the guys that were coming to rescue him. I mean, that's just my theory, but like, where else would he have been shot? Who shot him?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like he got shot while he was working with this chick in Romania years before or something like that.
No, it was supposed to be during the Benear extraction. So was he already shot in that scene? Because he was bloody.
Maybe.
Shoot him, then beat him.
Yeah, he probably got shot.
I'm pretty sure he got shot by friendly fire. Whoops.
We did a lot of shooting. Could have been any of us.
That must have been Benear. Here. It was the headless guy. Michelle gets all sorts of moist when she thinks back to when Evan asks if she'd wear the bullet pulled out of his body on a ring. So Milton, sensing things are about to get nasty, heads off to be creepy somewhere else for a bit.
It's like, I gotta go back to the hotel room.
I gotta go do some things. I'll never forget when I saw this porno that this guy like walked in on these two people who were about to have sex, and he just goes, "I'll be right back. I gotta go do some things." I'm pretty sure that's what Milton said. Evan leans over the table and makes out with Michelle awkwardly, and we cut away before these two, who are somehow sterile and boring as hell despite being secret agents, get down to business. By the way, no one takes a single bite of their meal during this entire scene.
Yeah.
Bothered the hell out of me. Like, nobody ate anything. There's food in front of all three of them. Nobody ate a damn thing. The next day, the three of them head to Dr. Cornell's office, where they confront him about prescribing the drug that only one person on Earth could need, apparently. Yeah. It's pronounced Colonel. It's the highest rank in the military.
He looks like the guy from Ancient Aliens. The one of the, not the hair guy,
not
but
the alien guy. Yeah, the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy. Yeah. I don't remember his name.
Not the guy who's literally an alien.
Yeah, you can put a picture of him in. That's what the doctor kept reminding me of.
He says he's been prescribing the drug to a guy he met once in a coffee shop 2 years earlier, who said he was getting the drug for someone else whose name has been redacted from the medical forms. As you do.
Sure.
Then Evan once again goes blank and forgets where the hell he is or what he's talking about, so he laughs like a crazy person again and rubs his head before calling the guy Cornish 3 times.
And why should that be a security concern?
Cornish.
So he's really keeping it together.
Yeah, losing it.
The flight really did him a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking out about a cigarette, calling a guy Cornish. Your name is Dr. Cornell. No red flags. When they threaten to arrest the doctor, he gives up the ruse and tells them a guy came into his home last night and threatened to kill his wife's family. He says he wanted the drugs and for Dr. Cornell to go to the unnamed patient with him in Kenya. The doctor agrees to call them when he's contacted by Benear's goon. But wouldn't you know it, the goon is outside the hospital and saw them all come out. But still goes through with meeting the doctor even though he saw him with some suspicious-looking people.
Like the worst intelligent officers in the history of any intelligence program. They get caught instantly.
Well, I mean, it kind of fits because they're sort of I mean, they're not the CIA's finest for a reason.
No. Milton's a fuck up.
Yeah.
Evan has dementia, and the other chick was a reporter or something.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Later that night, Milton finds Evan missing from their room and goes searching for him. Turns out he just took a stroll in a foreign country with no wallet or clue of where the hell he is and is crazily counting the windows of the Grand Bucharest Hotel while wearing a funny hat.
It's one of my favorite scenes.
He's just kind of open-mouthed staring at Milton like, who the hell are you?
I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
It did look like the Grand Bucharest or the Grand Budapest Hotel, right?
Budapest. Yeah. That's a good joke.
It's a great joke.
Grand Bucharest Hotel.
Then he rubs Milton's jacket like it's made of material from another planet.
It's just 3 blocks over.
Totally normal stuff. Just
maybe he thought it felt like alpaca.
He explains that he gets anxious and confused at night due to his dementia, which is a phenomenon called sundowning. If I take nothing else from this movie, which I promise you I won't, I'll forever remember the term and the idea of sundowning. Makes sense. Like, late at night, your brain starts to shut down a little bit.
Yep. Starts to get tired and wind down.
Yeah. Which is something you'll...
Great time to record a podcast.
Yeah. Have you seen the dying of the light behind us? Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that I guess, I'll have to watch out for in people around me. Sundowning as they get older. Milton tells him Dr. Cornell called with details on when and where the bad guy wants him to travel. The next day, they shadow Dr. Cornell from a beer garden or something as he picks up the money. It's like a winter
market, I think.
Yeah. It was like where they're sitting. It almost felt like Oktoberfest or something.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It looked like it, yeah.
Just be some
Maybe that's what it is.
Or like some Christmas fest.
Yeah, it looked like a Christmas market.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole thing's, because like when they're in Romania and the guy jumps off the bridge, there's snow. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's winter, though Romania is a lot higher. So anyways, he picks up the money that the mystery patient wired him at, I don't know, mailboxes, etc. or something. He meets with Benir's goon, who spots Milton and Evan watching as suspiciously as humanly possible from a distance while Nic Cage continues to sport a comically ridiculous, like, Russian hat. He's just kind of like watching, with that stupid hat on. The guy who's, I think his name is Asim or something like that. He takes off and Milton gives chase through a crowded Cones of Dunshire market. All I saw in that market that I could identify were some soccer balls and weird party hats.
There was like
down
three separate. There was like 3 separate hot dog stands that they ran through.
They ran past the same one over and over again. It's like a Scooby-Doo background.
Yeah, I'm guessing the market was like 4 buildings or something.
If you see, like, if you pay attention to when they first get in there, it's a super tiny area, so it's just like running in circles.
I like that Scooby-Doo idea. Running between tents back and forth, different directions.
That's what they should have done. That would have been so much more entertaining.
So much more.
Anyways, Milton chases this dude, knocking over several people in the process and making himself super obvious as a suspect if this guy somehow ends up with his throat slit or something. By the way, did you guys see the one Romanian guy who just goes, bah! Like after he runs into a stand? Just, bah! I don't know. It's just one guy like gets knocked into, I think he was like a hot dog vendor or something. Bah! Evan gets the airplane ticket and money from Dr. Cornell, where he assures him that he dodged a bullet and that nothing will happen to him or his people, which I 100% expected we'd see this guy and his wife butchered later on after that statement. But no, never see him again. His family is fine in Kenya, I guess. Milton chases Benir's goon to a slightly less populated part of the park where the guy shoots at him, but no one hears the shot. And then he just straight up slits the guy's throat.
It's like a shot. He cuts the throat. There's blood everywhere. And then the next shot, there's no blood.
The next shot, there's nothing. Yeah. I called that out in there, but yeah. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who noticed that. Like, there's no blood whatsoever.
Pretty graphic for this
straight on shot.
And then it was like PG violence.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even have anything on this guy at this point. Like, they couldn't even arrest him. But murdering him in broad daylight during an unauthorized covert mission is fine.
Yeah. And then he just kind of throws him in a dumpster or something, or just tucks him behind a park bench.
Puts him next to a trash can. Nobody will be jogging by there in 5 seconds and find that. Wasn't Milton riding a desk in D.C. like 5 minutes ago, and now he's slicing dudes' throats?
Now we know how he lost that.
Yeah, now we know he messed that mission up.
Yeah, that's what happened in Cairo. Wait, I'm supposed to protect you? Shit. We'll kill the son of the minister or whatever. Milton barely even tries to hide this dude's body next to a dumpster, and that's that. He just strolls back to Evan, presumably through the market he just busted up with blood all over his sweater. He's like covered in blood, walks right by all the people he just knocked over, all their stands and shit. He also steals the goon's wallet and phone, and back in the hotel, he and Evan discuss the next part of the plan. They're going to text Benir to make this guy seem like he's still alive. These two Muslim guys, they just chit-chat back and forth in English, I guess. It's easier that way.
It's less conspicuous that way.
Evan is going to pretend to be Dr. Cornell so he can fly to Mombasa in his place, in the doctor's place. Oh, he doesn't really look that much like this guy, but...
At all.
At all.
It would be like you trying to be me.
I mean, we're both white. It works.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Let's start there.
He has a goatee and wears glasses. I know that. So, yeah, here we go.
No contacts.
Yeah, he doesn't want to wear the contacts. It's weird.
Right.
Weird thing, which we'll get to.
Weird little things like that that's burned into my mind forever about this film.
I just wonder if that's like he was trying to stay as composed as he possibly could, and this might twitch him out, confuse him because he's got something in his eyes.
Could be, yeah.
Michelle hires this guy to put a fake beard on him because CIA agents wouldn't know how to do that kind of stuff. And Michelle warns Milton not to follow Evan to Kenya. Yeah, these guys wouldn't have a clue. Yeah, so they got this guy who like apparently works in the movie business to put on a fake beard.
He's like a gay stylist because they have to be, right?
Well,
I wasn't going to say anything, but
that's Paul Schrader. That's Schrader right there.
They'll have to be gay. He's got to be gay. Think that guy from Beverly Hills Cop who runs the museum. Make him that gay, okay?
Or the guy from Mrs. Doubtfire, the brother. We kind of sound the same.
They do kind of sound the same. Anyways, Michelle warns Milton not to follow Evan to Kenya since Evan is retired and Milton's career / life could be ruined by going after this fucking phantom that nobody thinks is actually alive. Not a bad point. I thought it was pretty sound advice. Also, I'm no detective, but I'm pretty sure they're going to figure out who slit that dude's throat in the park pretty easily. So I guess enjoy Romanian prison, Chekhov.
Right. Maybe he's got the CIA license to kill, so he's not worried about it.
Yeah, I guess. Evan has a fun little dementia freakout again, where he listens as ghosts from his past talk to him through the various phones he has just scattered around the room. Milton comes in and busts up the good times, and Evan lets him know a body has been found in the park. How did they find it? They decide to pack up and head to a hotel by the airport, where they'll text Banir that Asim has been detained by security. That's the dead guy's name, by the way, I guess. Asim. At the airport, Evan makes it through security using Dr. Cornell's passport, no sweat. And at last, he's finally in the same country as our bad guy, meaning we are mercifully getting close to the end of this muddled mess.
Act 3. It's about time to wrap this thing up.
Once in Kenya, Dr. Evan is greeted by some of Banir's henchmen who take him to another doctor where they confer on the treatment of the mystery patient who they all call Saeed Ali Harari? Is it Harari?
Something like that.
Well, Nick gives a somewhat convincing accent for a change.
Kind of.
It's kind of good. Kind of good.
It had
convincing enough for a bunch of Kenyans.
Yeah. They don't know any better. The doctor tells him that the patient prefers to be treated at his residence rather than come into the hospital, and Evan says he'd prefer to treat him at the hospital. I guess so he can get him away from his goons and play a little cricket of his own.
It's kind of a shame that he didn't beat him with a cricket bat at the end.
Would have been poetic.
They came up with a really interesting way of killing him, though.
Yeah. One might say that would be poetry in motion. They make arrangements to pick him up the next day. Meanwhile, Milton sports a goofy shirt while he haggles with some arms dealer of some sort to buy them a couple of guns. Next, we see Banir, the guy who can't stand up from his chair because he's too weak and wheezes with every breath, forcefully grab one of the goons and sticks a knife in his face because Asim is missing and he suspects there might be a traitor in his ranks. That's the whole scene. There's no resolution to that conflict. It just ends. It's over.
Do we see that guy later on? Did he end up killing him?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think he's the same goon.
I thought that's his right-hand man, but maybe not.
Obviously not. No, his right-hand man got his throat cut open.
Yeah, after he shaved his beard.
Yeah. Shave a beard.
Get some European ways. Or whatever he says there.
Yeah.
I thought he said get some European waves. So like, I thought they meant like
some hairstyle.
Some waves in your hair, man. That's how the Europeans
start listening to new wave like they listen to.
Oh my god!
It's got a flock of seagulls.
We just got the 80s here. Back at the motel, Milton tells Evan he scored some guns while Evan sniffs a plant for some reason. He asks Milton if he smells something since he can't seem to get the smell of burnt dog hair out of his nose ever since that meteor landed. Oh, wait, no. Different, better movie. Sorry, guys.
That was an oddly specific thing to have in both movies.
Yeah. Milton says, that's just how Mombasa smells, which is a dig on Kenya, worse than saying Romania is one big ashtray. He then mentions his weird groping of Milton's jacket back in Bucharest, where he says it felt like dog fur. See, it all goes back to that meteor, I'm telling you. Then he says,
Croc.
Evan. Croc is gun.
which I have to assume was him prepping for his role in the Crude sequel.
Croc is gun.
It's fucking brilliant writing.
We got to be reminded he's got dementia.
Yeah, can't forget.
Touche.
Him sniffing that plant was so like, what the fuck? Because like when he touches the jacket, I was like, what the fuck? And then when he sniffs the plant, I'm all right. I guess the FTD is moving faster than we thought.
Accelerating at a rapid pace.
They kind of said like he had a couple years before it was really gonna
before it really hit him. Maybe the stress of trying to find this phantom is accelerating.
Well, travel. He's now traveled to 2 different countries, which are those are long flights.
Yeah.
So Romania is probably
Sleep
what,
deprivation.
16 hours? And then from Romania to Kenya is probably 10, 15? I don't know.
Something like, I don't know.
I know that it's deceiving, like that flight from like Europe into Africa, because you have to go on the curvature of the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you just straight line.
It's just a straight line.
Flat. Straight flat line. He says he can't bring a gun to the meet since they'll definitely frisk him, so he decides he'll just let the moment guide him, which works out swimmingly. He also says he has a couple syringes he could just stick him with. One is quick, and the other is excruciating and takes over an hour to kill someone. The syringes are never mentioned again, by the way. Chekhov's syringe.
Yeah, so he just like bring those to Kenya with him, and they got through security. I guess he's a doctor.
Because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
He has it in this little doctor briefcase. Which
Doctor case.
Doctors bring briefcases with them. That's where they keep all their medicine, is in the briefcase.
In the briefcase.
Yeah, just give him a briefcase.
Doctors have briefcases. Red thinks about slicing. Thinks about slicing his throat and letting his blood wash all over him. Wait, wrong movie again. Gosh, man, I just keep thinking about these better films.
Would have been great.
This dude has a.
That's what Milton did after he sliced that throat.
I'll tell you, this dude has a real obsession with this Bannier guy in more ways than one. He says he has a belt blade and figures he'll only be able to get that past the guards, but won't be able to bring a GPS/listening unit device that Milton tries to give him. He then thanks Milton for coming along to help him murder someone everyone else thinks is a ghost. And Gatsby then says,
No problem, old sport.
oh, sorry, I mean Milton says that.
So weird.
No problem, old sport. Right, you're up in the creepy factory even worse than it already was, man. So strange.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen like a plethora of Anton Yelchin performances, but this one is just all over the place.
Bizarre. Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. It seems so out of character for him. The next day, Evan plays with his belt blade and tells Milton to do whatever he wants if Evan isn't out of the meetup with Ali Hariri within an hour. Next, we see Milton at the Wally World land with a half dozen Kenyan strippers.
Willy's Wonderland?
Like,
what are you gonna do?
like Willy's, but you know, we can't.
Wally.
It's trademarked. It's trademarked, so we have to make something.
Wally's Wonderland.
Wally's Wonderland. It's the Kenyan version of Willy's.
Yeah, that unlike that untrademarked Wally.
Evan gets picked up by Banier's guys at the hotel, where they once again frisk him as Milton watches while super inconspicuously holding a tourist pamphlet straight in front of his face like a far-sighted old man.
It's like he's just holding it.
It's so I know. It's like how
you're in
this
the
is
CIA.
You get caught. The only thing he's good at is killing people. That's about it.
Couldn't they have like given him a watch or something with like a listening device in it or a GPS tracker? Isn't that like standard issue stuff for CIA?
No, because they
guys?
frisk him. You know,
but he's wearing a watch.
See it. Well,
isn't he wearing a watch in the scene?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I think he is actually. Listen, Paul Schrader doesn't know anything about the CIA. He just knows about writing awful endings to films. That's what he specializes in. He can't bring home a third act to save his life.
Yeah,
at least lately.
We should say we don't know. We might
two films.
not be able to blame this on him.
Touche.
That's true. That's true.
We see dark.
We will be able to make that assessment in our next episode for sure.
You guys take him to the patient who Evan instantly recognizes as Bannier, confirming his insane hypothesis and mismatch of vague clues we've all been struggling to keep up with this whole film. Bannier doesn't recognize him, though, since he hasn't fantasized about killing this guy every single day, all day long for 22 years and has moved on with his life like a goddamn normal person. Then they exchange pleasantries.
They're very hospitable through this whole scene.
I liked Benier, he's a good guy.
Seems like a good dude. Oh,
nice guy.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Seems like a really good dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really mellowed.
I think age has mellowed him out.
Except he threatened to kill the doctor's whole family if he didn't show up. But.
Oh, yeah. That too. And the guy that he almost killed.
Threatened to murder.
Or may have killed. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
I'm sure when watch it back to, put the edit together, I'll be like, oh, yeah, he's in that scene. All right.
Evan keeps up the doctor charade and goes over a treatment he would suggest to treat Benier's thalassemia. Evan keeps up the doctor's charade and goes over a treatment he would suggest to treat Benier's thalassemia, thanks to some late night Googling he did on yahoo.com at the hotel. He suggests they find a bone marrow transplant donor and that a transplant is the only way to cure him. Evan asks to use the toilet since he's not such a young man anymore. And I have to say, Benier and his goons are super hospitable people. They graciously show him where it is. Then Evan shakes the door handle of the bathroom for a second and tells Benier's goons that the toilet won't flush down the monster turd that he just left in there. He walked out of the room, shook the door handle, came back to tell him the toilet won't flush in like 10 seconds. There's zero chance anybody could have used that toilet in the amount of time, but these guys break out the plunger anyways.
Get the snake. We have this problem all the time.
More fiber, doctor. You need more fiber. Evan knocks out the goon with a swift punch to the head and locks him in the bathroom. His hand shakes like he's Michael J. Fox, and I guess they don't have any dictionaries handy, so he could steady his hands again. So just in case you forgot that forgettable moment at the beginning of the film, because I sure did, I had to take a minute to actually think about this joke before I remember that stupid scene. Seriously, what was the point of that scene? What's the point of this scene? You just need to stop giving Schrader money to make films.
There's a lot of scenes that just don't make any sense. Or just okay, what was the point of that? All right. But I get it here. He's not able to steady himself. He's trying to re-steady himself again. Yeah. But he's never able to in this scene. He just he just goes off the rails from here on out.
Yeah. This is the beginning of the cagiest moment of the film. He heads back in to gloat to Benier that his long-time chances for survival are not so good, and neither are his short-term chances either. He sits down, smokes a cigarette before dropping his European accent, takes off his fake beard, fake ear prosthetic, and glasses, revealing himself to be Evan Blake, the man Benier hasn't thought about one single time since beating him with a cricket bat 22 years ago. Benier does end up recognizing him and asks about his goon. Honestly, he seems like a good guy now, he cares about his people. Maybe we shouldn't judge him so harshly.
Is he okay in the bathroom?
Is he okay in the bathroom? Oh. Yeah, see? I think we're being a little too harsh, I'm sure he had some good reasons for killing all those people way back in the 90s. And, to be fair, weren't we all a little more carefree back in the 90s? Yeah. That was the best time. The .com era, who didn't murder people at least once?
Just blow up a tourist bus back in the 90s. Pre 9/11, wasn't even that bad.
Benier asks how he was able to track him down, and Evan says he figured out from the request of
decitabine.
The
drug.
And Evan says he figured it out from the request of decitabine and Benier's family history. Benier realizes it was Evan who sent him into hiding thanks to whatever nonsense Evan said earlier about putting out a wire or whatever. Honestly, who cares anymore at this point?
If you couldn't tell, I was kind of over it.
Yeah, it's just the characters rehashing stuff we already know about.
Yes.
It's just come on.
We're talking about shit we already talked about.
Why does it matter how he found him?
Yeah. How did you find me? Who cares? I'm here now.
About to stab you in the neck with my belt knife.
with my belt knife that I'm
If I don't just lose my ever-loving mind first.
He tells him he would have died from anemia just like his dad. Before Evan can enact his blissful revenge, he spaces out for a bit, forgets who he is, and despite having just clogged the toilet with a monster turd, probably shits his pants for good measure as well. He rubs his head for a minute while Bannier asks why he gave him a fake name all those years ago, and Evan says he was trying to make a point. Evan unbuckles.
He does say it later on.
He says it later on.
He didn't want to be the guy who gave up a name.
Yeah.
Did that happen later on, or is that?
I think it happens earlier.
He explains it to Milton. Yeah. Why didn't you?
He didn't want to be
give
the
him a
agent
name?
who gave up a name.
That was when he was at home, standing in front of the flag with a hole in it, right?
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Evan unbuckles his pants and prepares to get down to business. Evan unbuckles his pants and prepares to get down to the business he's been dreaming about all these years. To kill him. Not that other thing. Although Bannier drops a little religious sermon on him while Evan struggles to unscramble his brains about how Americans see themselves as a religion. Something about Greeley, Colorado, being paradise on earth, and then Evan sings Baby It's Cold Outside for some goddamn reason.
Baby, it's cold outside.
We're just as lost as you guys are. And I'm beginning to think Paul Schrader's mind is just as jumbled as Evan's, and he just wrote this into the movie.
Baby, it's cold outside. You know, I've been thinking about taking a trip to Greeley, Colorado. Baby, it's cold outside. It's a good song. I don't understand why they took it off the radio. It was great. I don't think it's about rape, but whatever. I'm old school.
I'm old school like that, you know.
Anyway, Greeley being a paradise repulsed some extremist guys since it was full of happy people and wasn't a dirty shithole. So that's how whatever the fuck movement Bannier is a part of got started. He stands up like Mr. Burns, wobbling around on some crutches while Evan starts saying numbers out loud. And since I guess that's how he combats the gremlins in his head.
Yeah, right.
I think he's
22.
I think he's going back to repeating the numbers he was repeating when he was being interrogated at the beginning of the film by Bannier, but who fucking knows?
Did he say some numbers?
Was he saying numbers?
I don't remember that. Did, but I could have just made that up to make it better.
I've been trying to figure out where the numbers come from this entire time.
Yeah, I thought it was just like some therapy, like if you start losing it.
That's what I thought. Like maybe he saw something in one of those books he was reading of like, okay, count down from 50 and concentrate on something that, you know, you can narrow your focus so that you can concentrate. Because that seems like something you would do with dementia. So that all makes sense. It's weird that he skips numbers though, because it's like.
But that maybe is he can't focus. He's trying, but he can't.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
He flashes back to being tortured by Bannier years earlier and starts giving modern day Bannier his fake name again while this guy goes off about some more fundamentalist doctrine. Evan is even more confused by all this than we are and tells Bannier,
We like the fear. I like the fear. I like the fear.
Walter then asks, Evan asks if Bannier thinks the bad stuff he did made any difference. No, wait. He screams,
Do you think it made any difference? Well, you're dead! You!
He's really off the rails in this scene.
Yeah.
We like the fear. I like the fear. I like the fear. Like, what the hell? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Bannier realizes Evan is sick too, since he's drooling, screaming like a lunatic, and punching the air above his head while screaming, "Cocksucker! Cocksucker!" Wait, no, that last part was from a different movie again. I think he was screaming, "I like the fear." Evan tells him he has a disease of the brain and lets him know that he's forgetting things. I like how these guys are starting to reconnect. You know, maybe they can rebuild that friendship.
It is just kind of like, this guy's familiar. He's a friend. Okay.
We hear the call for prayer, so Bannier hops up to pray and asks Evan for help, and he says,
No, I won't do that.
What the fuck is going on at this point in the film? We have two cripples just
rambling bullshit at each other.
chewing scenery.
Yeah.
But
this
here
scene is
asks
like
what we're all
10
thinking.
minutes long. Like,
Yes,
what
it's
was the point
super
of the
long.
scene? Like, I get the sense that they were going to do a whole lot of like sensory stuff with the camera stuff that, you know, they ended up cutting out of the film. Because I saw a couple little like snippets of dark, and that's definitely in there. It's like moments where like everything just goes really weird around Nic Cage's vision. While he's watching this dude like recite this crazy sermon. But like, what did they have to leave all of this in the movie? It just
No, they should not have.
He just finishes his speech and then he sits down. He's like, "Oh, can you help me up?"
No, I won't do that. I won't do that. Banir asks what we're all thinking. Are you gonna kill me or what? And Evan just kind of leaves. I'm not kidding. He just leaves after we build up to this for 80 fucking minutes.
Which if they had just ended with that, I think it could have been an ending.
That would have been a good ending.
They're just both sick, broken men, and that's it. You know?
Yes. Sick, broken men who are going to die soon. There's no point in trying.
Like, we really
to
rooting for this old guy to kill this crippled guy. Like, you know, turn it back on the audience. Like, okay,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's kind of like,
this
you
is
know,
what you really want to see. Is this what you wanted to see?
Evan got closure, and he realizes that this was kind of a pointless pursuit from the very beginning.
Yeah,
I guess, or he completely lost his mind, and he's just like, I forgot where I am. I gotta go.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Could be that too.
Stranger danger. I gotta get out of here.
I gotta go.
Like when Milton finds him in a second here, he's just like staring at him like, Milt, crock his gun.
Crock his gun. Yeah, so the movie unfortunately does not end here. And Milton finds Evan wandering in the streets of Mombasa. Evan looks at him like he just fried his brain on that acid from Mandy before recognizing him. Milton asks if it was worth it, and he says, yeah, it was worth it. You should have heard him scream. So either he thinks he killed him due to the dementia, or he knows Banir will die soon, so there's no point in enacting this revenge he's been dreaming about for 22 years, to the point that his bloodlust cost him a retirement ceremony where the president would have been present, ensuring it would be so good it would take the tits off of everybody that attended.
So good, take your tits off.
I'm telling you, Mr. President, it's gonna take your tits off. This whole movie would have been worth it if that had been the final credits.
Right.
Just telling President Obama,
so
this
good,
body's gonna take your
off.
tits off.
Then Obama's like, this carpet feels like shaved pussy, doesn't it?
Back at the hotel, Evan says to Milton, drink. I'm having one. Before they head out for a little stroll by the pool.
And this is where it's like obviously not a hotel in Mombasa. It's like a resort in Australia.
Yeah.
It's the Four Seasons.
Milton is suddenly shot in the shoulder. We see Banir's guy shooting blindly into a crowd of pasty white tourists. By the way, this was shot in Australia, in case you're wondering where all the Kenyans are. Evan shoots one of the guys in the shoulder, then takes off after a guy who mows down a handful of tourists with a machine gun. Evan is also shot in the shoulder. It's like the only place they could think to put the squibs, right? Because everybody's getting blasted left and right in the shoulder. By the way, he's totally fine, but all the other guys hitting the shoulder drop dead to the ground and never get back. Except for Milton, who gets a bandage later while looking around angrily like he's trying to spot his dad, who is 2 hours late picking him up from soccer practice.
Did you guys see that? He was just kind of like angry, looking around, like,
Dad,
what is he looking for?
Where's that shooter? I'm gonna slit his throat.
God, I would do anything to slit a throat right now. Bandage me up. I gotta find my knife.
Evan catches up to the guy he's chasing and shoots him in the shoulder. He kills the guy by shooting him in a few other spots, then shoots his dead, lifeless body a couple more times for good measure and takes his van.
This is kind of where he's like lucid again. Like suddenly,
Yeah.
Okay, he's back to being the CIA agent he once was.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know if that's how dementia really works, but he's just
I think it can be.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just snapped back to being the person that we know that he was at one point capable of being, and this is the person he thinks he still is up to this point.
Yeah. Evan heads
What it was with
straight
the
to
shoulder
Beniers.
thing. Sorry, I just
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
it's
don't know
just
why
the
I was
episode's
harping on it, but like there's like 4 people shot in the shoulder straight. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just an observation I had.
They're all just really bad shots, everybody. Except Evan.
Yeah. Well, the goons that were shot in the shoulder just dropped to the ground, never get up. But Milton's fine.
Yeah.
And so is
Yeah,
Evan.
Milton. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Evan doesn't even drop
Except
to the
Milton,
ground.
Milton dropped to the ground and looked like he was dead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because they had to tease you, make you think
Right.
he's dead. So that Evan is now going to enact revenge for the murder of his friend.
Yep.
I guess it justifies him actually going to kill Benier. Spoilers. Anyways, Evan heads straight to Benier's hideout where he is completely unguarded. I guess he sent all of his guys out at once. That totally makes sense. Evan heads
He doesn't
to
even have a
stab this-
gun. He doesn't even have protection for himself. He has a knife. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't think that this dude would be just coming right back. Like he knows where you live.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he thought, his guys would get him. They're all good shots.
Yeah,
Kind of.
great. I like that one shot where he uses the machine gun to just shoot a guy who's like right next to him. Like, whoa. Okay.
Tactical.
A little over the top,
That's
but sure.
That's tactical aiming right there. He heads to stab this invalid who occasionally has tons of strength, and Benier is waiting for it with a knife of his own. They struggle to the ground, and Benier bites Evan's hand, forcing him to drop his belt blade. Then Benier bites Evan's cheek and spits a chunk of it across the room like that scene in Cape Fear.
It's thinking like cripple fight from South Park. Doing this. Just, cripple fight. Just fall to the ground and they're just sort of rolling around.
Oh, man. Evan
Movie would have almost been redeemed if it was as long as that scene in South Park.
Yeah.
This cripple fight went on for 10 minutes.
Evan hops on top of him and punches him in the throat before poking his finger into Benier's eye and into his brain. Unique, I guess.
Like,
Could have lived without that.
so, I don't have anything. It's just why that way?
We're so
Why would that have actually killed him? Probably not quickly, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He probably would have been twitching
feel
on the
like-
ground for a while.
Yeah, and I feel like it would take a lot of force to
'cause
jam your
there's-
finger into somebody's.
There's bone behind your
yeah.
eye, so you have to push through the bone into the
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just
which
it's like he's putting his finger in pudding.
yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah. Evan then heads out into the night, thinking his buddy Milton is dead, and instead of heading home to the depressing as fuck life he's waiting for him, he swerves his van into an innocent truck driver just trying to get home to his family, killing himself and most likely some poor Kenyan dude. I think he's like,
Fade to
It's
white.
his dump truck. I'm sure it'll be fine.
it'll kill me.
It'll kill me, but it won't kill him.
Slay
I
me.
think that's what we were supposed to be left with is that, he drove into this truck that obviously would have killed him in his van,
Yeah.
but not killed that guy
Right.
who's probably going 70 miles an hour on a freaking interstate or whatever.
Right.
I don't know what the Kenyan version of interstate is. International
Interstate.
road.
We flash back to the U.S. where we see Arlington Cemetery and eventually Evan's grave, accompanied by the sound of the horrible monologue Evan gave at the beginning of the film. We see Milton receive some sort of award for slitting a guy's throat open and going on a completely unsanctioned mission he and Evan decided to do that ended up costing a bunch of tourists their lives. Then I guess he heads back to Romania where he gives Michelle the bullet Evan had on his keychain. It cuts to Evan finishing the rousing speech he gave at the beginning of the film once more, and we're left with the message that it doesn't matter if you get a bunch of people killed because you go try to murder a guy you've had a revenge boner for 22 years, as long as you have values. The end. That's how this fucking film ends. Why?
It's a scathing review of America.
Oh my God.
I think it was meant to be, but I don't know if they edited it the way, realizing that's what it was.
I think that was the point.
I could see that argument. Yeah, I could see that argument.
It's basically like, we'll go kill whoever we want because we're doing it for values or whatever.
For values, right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The film just was not executed very well. Maybe in Dark it is.
Yeah, maybe in Dark it's just
really
way too dark.
Like, I can't even see what's happening.
Is what's going on? The brightness is all the way up. I still can't fucking see anything.
Maybe Dark is just literally a black screen for the whole time. It just makes a better film.
The opening monologue just playing the whole time. You have values.